Hello guys and welcome back. So now we have all these light AV separated and combined, and I'd like to start tweaking this. So the first thing I want to do is I'm gonna reduce the intensity of all these lights and try to bring this out a bit more. So let's see what we have. So this gain, this node, this pass here, I think it's too bright. So we're gonna add a bright node, and with this we can just reduce the amount of how bright it is. And we can add a color correction node and change its color as well. So I'm going to multiply it to have a blue tone, something like that, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so this is bluer and I think it's much better. Let's see here. I can disable these to see the difference. You can see how that's working. Cool, so let's continue. This section I'm not going to change. I'm going to squeeze this over here and I'm going to resize this. I want to move, that's fine. So okay, what do we have? We have these two guys. Let's combine them together. No, I'm gonna reduce the intensity of each one individually. So this is the top light, and I always like to look at it, look at the final result so we can easily change this. Cool. In some studios, they adopted a pipeline like this 100%. And what they do is they do a render with all the lights set to white, and then they do all the tweakings and everything in comp. And then once they find the intensity, the color and everything, they copy those information back into the render, and basically you get the same exact result just in the render. So if I can do these changes and go back to the render and reapply them. Okay, cool. So I think this one is good. I like this. I'm gonna desaturate it a bit using an HSV node. Cool. And then let's see what else. This one, let's see how what kind of difference we can get from changing the backlight. And I'm gonna copy these two color correction nodes, set of nodes. I'm gonna plug them, and I'm gonna disable this. I just need the brightness for now. Yeah, I think darker is better. So let's try also to change its color. Let's try a warm tone. See how that fits. Something. I think this is better. Yeah, and you can see now the focus is getting more and more onto this, and these guys are super bright, so that would be the next part to tweak. Let's view this, and then this part. Okay, I'm gonna do two bright node, and let's reduce this. And you can see now it's much better, and the focus is only in here. This blue I'm not liking so much. I think it's distracting. So let's put down an HSV node and just rotate the hue, or change this value so that we get something that blends in better. Let's keep the brightness. I think that's good. Yeah. Cool. I think I like this being bright. It's just the blue color was not working pretty well. And these guys are super dark now, so we'll see how we can brighten them up a bit. Maybe with this, with the fill. Yeah, I think this is better. And you can see I'm just doing tweaks here. There's nothing special. about what I'm doing is just looking at the image and trying to find a better balance for it. I'm gonna try and change these to have a different color just to see how it would look like. I like the blue. Yeah, we're gonna keep it at the original color. Yeah, something like that. And this is the only part that bothers me a bit. And I think we have a GI light for these guys. And it looks like we've tuned it down. We've reduced it in the render a lot. But if it was bright, we could have lit that area. So let's see. Yeah, definitely working much better now. But I don't like the fact that it's changing that a lot. I think that was one of the issues. Let's add a gamma node so we can bring up the dark values of this pass. Yeah, something like that. Cool. And now let's add some lighting here. Obviously the statue is not receiving any direct lights, it's just being backlit from this light. And it's receiving a lot of shadows. So what I've done in the first scene is I did a lot of key light for this. I had 2 spots from the bottom lighting it, and then another spot I believe from the top, so it was beauty lit individually. And I also had a disc light inside the center that created a nice gradient, which we don't have here. Okay, cool. So let's focus on this section now. I think these guys are good. They're probably dark, a bit bright, and the focus is still stolen from this area. I think if we had a light here lighting all this section, maybe less shadow cast and more light, it would be more in focus. But I think we can still do some stuff. So let's add a bright node to all of it and bring it up. Add more brightness, yeah, something like that. And let's add a color correction node. I'm not happy doing this because I'm changing all these lights together, and I really want to go in and change them individually. Cool. I think it's working now. And let's add a bright node. This is the everything else. I was not intending to do this, but I think it's a good coincidence. So we have all the lights and except this part. So we can tune this down completely, and you can see the focus is now on this. Again, this is the only bit that bothers me a bit. It's too dark, and I would love to have it be more lit. Somehow we could place area lights or point lights inside each of these guys to illuminate that properly. But I think this is working now. I'm gonna tweak in some individual lights. This is cool. This is actually very, very cool. And this one is good. Yeah, this one I can change. Let's see what we can get. A nice. Very cool. I think if this was as bright as these, it would definitely look much better. So let's see if we have a light. Yeah, maybe this guy we can brighten up. And I'm gonna take a look at this pass by itself without looking at anything else. Let's add an HSV or a color correct node and change the tone of this. It's not working with the background. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these lights, I'm going to make them much warmer. Instead of doing everything here, I'm going to do that at the light level. So this and these two guys, I'm going to add a layer node, combine them together. Okay, I'm going to disconnect this, and let's move this here, this guy here. Okay. Cool. So let's see. This part and this part. I'm gonna add a color correct. These lights feel very off, especially this one. Let's add a multiplier. Cool, I like that. And let's do the same thing for the bounce light. Okay. And let's make sure this is set to add. And let's add a color correct node. Cool, so everything is warm now. And here I'm going to pardon me, going to reduce the, yeah, something like that. And what else? And this GI, let's try and increase it. Now, a cool thing that we could do is, because this light is an individual pass, we can denoise individual lights if we wanted to. So I'm going to add a denoise, especially that it's not contributing too much to the visual. I'm going to set this to 10 iterations, and you can see now it's much softer. Obviously it's going to blur various things in the image, but I think it helps. Okay. Let's see. Cool, and I'm gonna turn these off, I don't need them. Okay, let's turn this back. Yeah, I like this warm tone. What I don't like is this line here, for sure. That I would like to fix. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the composition now. I'm going to desaturate. I think it's too saturated overall, so I'm going to desaturate it a bit. Maybe just the background. Cool. This is definitely very cool. Yep, I like this now. And I'm gonna try and lift the, let's add a gamma node. I'm gonna add a little bit of gamma. With this, once you look, once you stare at an image for a while, pardon me, and make a drastic change, it's really hard to see, to judge it quickly, because you've got used to how it looks like in that state, and then once you do a quick change or a sudden change, even though the change is good and looks better, it's hard for you to make that judgment because you've been used to see the previous version a lot. So especially with these kind of drastic change, it's hard to make a quick assessment of whether you did the right thing or not. So I like the lift here. I like the fact that we're seeing more data there. And I know that the Sony LUT tends to crush the colors a bit, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot of ideas at the moment. I'm pretty happy with the lighting as a first pass. The other lighting I did, it took much longer than, I don't know, 2 hours or 3 hours that it took us to do all this from scratch, and I spent a lot of time iterating over each pass and each light, and did a lot of color correction as well. So let's take a look where what we did and how it looks now. And these decision is purely up to the artist. There's not so much I can teach you. There's not so much tech that I can show you. It's all based on what you want to do and how you want the image to look like. For me, the main thing that bothers me a bit, I want more lighting here. I like this variation, but maybe if we had a spot where these are also lit, but these areas are just brighter, I think that would be much better, and it would create more indirect illumination. This line here, I'd like to fix that for sure. And then this statue needs some love. Basically, you need to light it properly and give the subject the care it needs. These guys are getting nicely lit. I like this rim and this and the information that we have here, but this guy feels very flat because of the indirect light that we've added. And then I still have these guys missing, so that could add some more information. This area here feels very dark, so let's see if we can bring some of that some of the top color back in. Not this one. Yeah, this pass. Cool. Something like that. And maybe we can saturate this a bit more as well. Yeah, something like that. Again, the statue is the one that is the one bothering me, and it's ruining the whole composition. Now, what I also like to do is I look at individual channels, and this tells you how well balanced each channel is. If it's hard for you to judge based on this, I generally take a look at this. I think the red, again, these two are the most annoying bits for me, especially that this is supposed to be in the same environment. So that's something that I'd like to fix. The other thing I'd like to do is I feel this color could have more gradation overall, this bits here, and I'm going to start using the position pass to do some fake environment, some fake Z depth, and we can also use it to change the color. It would also be nice to, as a different lighting scenario, to have point lights in each of these arches with nice decay, so we only see this section lit and this section lit, and it repeats over and over rather than a uniform volume of lights. Or we can have an area light that starts strong and decays as we get to the center, and that will create some nice linear transition, and the focus will be here. So basically you can have an area light, a strong area light with a blue tone, and it decays as it gets towards the center, and then you have the center warm emitting light, and they're all mixing the center. I think that could be some really cool and interesting idea to try out. Okay, so let's do some color correction with the position and see how we can create some Z depth in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.